This PowerPoint is about understanding and reading financial reports. Now, this is not in your text, but very, very central when it comes to understanding not just budgeting, but understanding the financial implications of a business and any organization. So you want to be able to understand and be able to read a financial report. There are several key elements of what we know as an annual report. Now, an annual report is a real pretty report most of the time. It has a glossy cover, lots of pictures, some verbiage that are meant to be appealing to those that read it. But there are only really two very important elements of an annual report. Even though it may be 100 pages, there's only really two important things. And those two things are, one, the messaging. It's communication to the current and future shareholders, and it highlights the current and future state of the company. And then secondly, the financials, the balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flow, and where you actually see the financial results for the year in comparison with past years. Those are the only things that are really important when it comes to an annual report. The rest is just fluff. Now here's some sample annual reports that I would like you to take a look at online. Top one is Coca-Cola, middle one is Walmart's, and the last one is 1-800-Flowers.com. You'll see that how their marketing, even in their annual report, they are meant to very much so impress their current shareholders and attract future shareholders by the presentation of their annual reports. Now, the key Securities and Exchange Commission reports are required for any company that has more than $10 million of assets, or that has more than 500 owners that have an equity stake in a particular organization, whether that company is private or public. Now, there are several different types of reports that must be filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. One is a 10K report. That is the annual report. So, as you'll see later on in the slide, this 10K report doesn't look anything like the real colorful, pretty annual reports that they send to their shareholders and that they post on their site. This 10K report is very straightforward, direct to the point, and it has a systematic flow of information that the government wants to see, which you'll see in just a second. Now, the 10Q report is a quarterly report that describes key financial information about the prior 3 months of the company. So it doesn't look at the entire year. It tracks the information quarterly. Now, the 8K report shows any major event that could impact the financial position of the company. For example, when British Petroleum had a major oil spill a few years ago in the Gulf, they had to file an 8K report because that could drastically, and it did, drastically affect its financial positions and the position of the shareholders. And now there are forms 3, 4, and 5. Those are corporate insider reports. So any changes in the company structure, change in officers, directors, or any major shareholder must be filed with the SEC as well. And those filings can be in forms 3, 4, or 5, which all have different varying of different information that they ask about how and why this transition took place. Now, when I say financial report on this slide, I'm speaking strictly to a 10K report. Now, the 10K report actually has 20 sections. But in those 20 sections, there are 15 items. And those items some items have A and B clauses, which makes up the 20 sections. Now all of those sections have important information to the Securities Exchange Commission, but for the purposes of this course and for the purposes of your understanding, I want you to be very familiar with the following report items. Item 1, business. Item 1A, risk factors. Item 6, selected financial data. Item 7, the management discussion and financial analysis. The management discussion and analysis of financial condition. And item 8, the financial statements. Item 1 is the business. It's about what the company does, what subsidiary it owns, what market it operates in, and gives you a current viewpoint of what's happening with the business current day. Item 1A is risk factors. This is where the firm has to lay out everything that could possibly go wrong and affect the company's ability to meet its financial obligations or expectations. This is a section that's meant to warn investors about the risk that's inherent to this particular company. Now, item 6 is entitled Selected Financial Data. Now, this is where the company compares its financial data current day to the last 5 years. So it gives the investor a very, very good idea of what the trends are. Item 7, management's discussion and analysis of financial condition, gives management an opportunity to add its own commentary, to give you their viewpoint or their explanation on why the numbers were the way they were from this previous reported period. And item 8 is your financial statements, which is where your company shares its income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and statement of shareholders' equity, most of which we talked about in, I believe it was chapter 4, where we looked at the master budget. A lot of those same elements you'll see here. So this is really, really important because it gives you an overall viewpoint, that global viewpoint, that high level overarching viewpoint of a company's financial status at that point. Now, here's some sample 10K reports. The first one is of 1-800-Flowers.com. So you saw their very, very pretty annual report on previous slides, but now you get a chance to see their SEC report, and it won't be as glamorous, I promise you. And then the other SEC report I want you to look at is of Whole Foods. So if you look at these reports, see if you can look at those elements and read through those important sections I pointed out, and if you can figure out how healthy this particular company is. I think this will be a good opportunity for you to look at the 10K report before you actually dive into your assignment for assignment 3, when you look at Intel's 10K report and have to give analysis. So take your opportunity to do that.